Welcome all of you. Thank you for being here and allowing us to share some of the ideas for solutions, I think, for some of the problems that education is facing. It's one thing to think about what's going wrong with education. I think we really need to do that, but I think it's even more important that we really put our energy and our thoughts and our capacity for doing things where those problems are. Let me introduce to you briefly what School of the 21st Century is. It's not a school. It's not a school. It's a model for a school, and actually more and more stakeholders are participating in this. And it's different all over the world, and it's actually also very similar all over the world. We call it School of the 21st Century, first of all, to make sort of a break with what was going on in education in the 20th century. The challenges that we are facing today are not those of the 20th century. And so we really need to make sure that whenever we look for solutions, those solutions are not solutions to old problems. Although, as I will indicate, some of the problems that we are dealing with are really old problems, very old problems, and are also very universal problems. It's also called School of the 21st Century because it's not the school of forever. What we are not pretending is that we can come up with solutions that will sort of create the ultimate perfect setting for education, for all of humanity, for the rest of whatever. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to look at the situation today. And one of the things we realize, and that we are really keenly aware of, is that when we look at education, education is something, is a problem, is a situation, is a challenge that belongs to all of us. It's not just a problem of teachers. It's not just a problem of governments. It's not just a problem of parents. It's actually a problem of, or a sort of a challenge for all of us. And all of us at the same time. One of the things that we are really focusing upon is that when you address a single layer of the complexity of education as a system, you will never, and that's sort of a strong statement, I realize, but you will never come to integrated solutions. So yes, I'm very happy with what the previous speaker presented to us, providing us with sort of a technical infrastructure that will allow us to carry information, that will allow us to carry education. But it's not the carrier by itself that will transform education, even though without that carrier, it might not happen. So it's really a very complex and sophisticated interaction between a number of components. And I think that's essentially what we are trying to do in School of the 21st Century. And actually here in Suriname today, we are here with a group of people. We are here with universities. We are here with the University of Brussels. We are here with Educa University. We are here with people from Stanford University. We are also here with ICT people. Actually, the nerdy guys who sort of solve all our problems when we don't know how to solve them, who sort of never eat, never sleep, and actually rush in so that students don't see all of the messy stuff that went on, and they get this impression of living in this really nice virtual environment that's smooth and soft and everything. And that's not really like that. So you have these nerdy guys who made it look like that. We are here with people from adult education. Adult education is sort of important because adult education is actually increasingly becoming two things. It's becoming sort of a plan B for students who never made it through the normal system. We can call them dropouts, but sort of adult education as plan B. But it's also increasingly becoming an answer to the challenges that we are facing with the demographic shifts, where people have people actually live longer, and therefore have to sort of make sure that they go along educationally, that they get more training throughout their careers. We were here with people from primary schools. And I think it's sort of nice to travel with universities and primary school teachers together. It's really important that when, as universities, we look at the problems of education and come up with all these nice ideas and things we are going to measure and implement, etc., that we really don't do that sort of from our nice campuses thinking about it, reading some books, some articles, and then thinking, oh, this would be nice. I mean, it's really important that we go out there and actually talk to the people. Talk to the people who have to live education, basic education, every day. It's important that we talk to the children. It's so important that we talk to the adults in adult education. Because education of the 21st century will not be education of the 21st century if it does not fulfill certain needs that exist in individual people and at the level of societies and communities. That's really what education is about. It's not about an ideal concept of look at what we can do. It's more about these are the problems and look at how we can solve them, how we can address them. And I think we really need to keep that focus, that strong focus. And basically what we want to do is to make sure that we don't start from, let's say, what's possible with ICT. Actually, that part works fine. I mean, products are launched and people use them. Actually, what I like very much is that people abuse them. They always use them for other things than that they were designed for. And I think that's really great. Because that creates opportunities for education. That allows the creation of solutions where you use something for something it wasn't designed for, but use it to solve a specific need. And sometimes these things create their own needs. That's fine. So we will do a very general presentation, and then we will also look at a very specific ingredient, a very specific element that I think is a really innovative way of looking at ICT, not just from the perspective of look how strong and powerful gadgets we can create, but looking at where could ICT, with everything it can do, and yes, we will perhaps not push it to its limits, but let's look how it can really address some of the challenges. And that will be presented by Professor Munoz, who is connected to Seeds of Empowerment, which is a spin-off of Stanford University and one of our main partners in this sort of global, local approach to education. So actually what I've been talking about so far is, and I hope this thing will work, is this. Asking the question, what would be a very impolite word to put there, but what is wrong with education? And again, we really need to address that question. And I know we need to do two things at the same time. On the one hand, we should not bother too much about what's wrong. We should also, to some extent, we should just look forward and move there. But the problems we are facing are so strong that we also need to allow ourselves to look at them and analyze them and see what their structure is and see how they are connected and look for solutions that sort of address this question that you can ask before you go to bed after a long and tiresome day. Say, okay, what have I been doing? What have I been contributing today? What is wrong with education? Why doesn't it work? Why does I think it's a really important question. Why does all this money, effort, time, solutions, why doesn't it bring the outcome, the results that are sort of on a par with what we put in? I think that's a really important question, because we are really putting in enormous amounts of money and energy and time and critical thinking into education, and yet we continue to face these important challenges. I'm not going to go into detail. We got a little more time, but not enough to sort of analyze all of them. But so the challenges we are facing, and again, these are not just challenges in developing countries. I live and I work close to Antwerp, one of the most industrialized parts of the world. And let me tell you, while the specifics may be somewhat different, we do face those same problems. Exactly the same problems. So we should be really sort of careful not to see these as problems of developing countries, as problems that we have already solved in other parts of the world. We haven't. Actually, what's happening is that some of these problems perhaps took a little more time before they surfaced. But they're there now. They're there, and we need to address them. Equal access to education, specific target groups, the cost of face-to-face education.